I mean, it's fun. They have a really good school. You know, they have a bunch of good coaches. They all help out. You know, they're always there for you. You know, they help out in track. They help off track. They help everywhere. It's just all a good, really good organization. It's really fun.
Yeah, so Middleweight Grand Prix Dash for Cash. It is our premier race of the weekend. Has a cash prize, $1,500 to the top 8 finishers. So it's the one that we all like to participate in and try to earn some money on the weekend. But it's definitely brings out the best riders in the expert class, the middleweight. The Middleweight Grand Prix rules allow for slick tires, some modifications to engines, some overbore pistons, things like that. Some guys run a bike like mine, which is Supersport, which is minimally modified. Other guys are running, you know, cams and pistons and special cranks and rods, and that adds up pretty quick. But it's cool because there's a lot of Yamaha R6s in that field. There's a couple GSXR 600s, a couple Kawasaki's, there's even a couple Triumphs as well now. So there's some diversity in the field, and it makes for good racing. You know, again, a little bit of money on the line, and everybody throws the new tires on and tries to earn their spot on the podium.
Yeah, so last season for me went really well. It was one of my best seasons ever, and you know, I started the season pretty strong, and I really didn't have any hiccups until the very last event where I blew up a motor, but all my points were settled for the year, so it didn't affect me. Yeah, middleweight GP was the most fun race of the year by far. We had some big fields. The national was super fun. Got to do qualifying, and I was really happy with my performance in those qualifying races and in the big show as well. And I ended up with a third at the classic, and I couldn't be happier about last year. And so I did blow up the bike at the last round, so this is an entirely new to me bike. I'm just getting it dialed in today, and it feels pretty good on the first outing. So I'm hopeful that I can pick up where I left off and have another great season this year.
The plans for this year, 2022, will probably just be, you know, continue riding with Penguin, do other kind of track days, and then, you know, get used to the bike, get used to different tracks, get used to just riding, and then we'll see what happens for 2023.
Yeah, so the plan for this year is to try and pick up where I left off. I need to start the season really strong again. I'm up against Scott Greenwood. It's a pretty big barrier. Moving one spot up the chain is going to be tough. Really, I'm just looking for, personally, to make another step to close the gap to Scott. That would be my big goal this year, to get my times into the zone where I'm not losing touch with him over race distance. And see where that puts me at the end of the year.
The R3, well, you know, it's doesn't have that much power, but it is fun to ride at this track. You know, corner speed's definitely a big thing here. You know, there's not a lot of braking with this bike, and all in all, it's just a fun bike to ride around this track.
Plans for 2022, you know, plans to try to make every event. Work schedule is looking pretty complicated this year, so we're gonna work through some of that scheduling conflicts if I have any. It's a busy time at my real job, which is sales rep for Zero Motorcycles. So we got a lot of events planned, but looking forward to trying to do every round here with NEMRR, and try to win some championships, try to win some races, and most importantly have some fun.
Yeah, so the R6 is an amazing motorcycle. It's a fantastic race bike, and it's near the end of its life cycle because the middleweight class is going towards the super middleweights, things like the 765 and the 959 Ducati. So the life cycle of the R6, I'm not sure what the future holds for it, but at the moment I still believe it's probably the best middleweight race bike out there. It doesn't have the most horsepower, but it handles phenomenally. the cockpit is super comfy, and it has an amazing motor, and it has a lot of over rev, which makes it more flexible on the racetrack. You can choose your gears and gearing a lot differently because the bike can just keep revving and revving, and it doesn't really drop the power out. So at this point, I'm still super happy to be on an R6. We'll see what the future holds. I do own a 959, but I'm not sure if I'm ever going to make that jump to the super middleweight.
Last year was actually great. I won the 500 Superbike Championship. I placed second in 500 Supersport, and I got my lap times down to a 1:17.8. So I hope I can improve for this year.
Last season was definitely difficult for me. I made a lot of rider improvements, but I had a lot of mechanicals and failures and a lot of crashes. Just pushing the limit and having some uncontrollable things happen. But I learned a lot from it. It definitely made me more durable as a person and my bike. And I learned how to overcome a lot of those obstacles. So I'm looking forward to improving for this year and hopefully avoid those mistakes.
Last season was pretty good. I started out on the 400 and I rode the 400 all season. I did pretty good in 500 Supersport. It was definitely my favorite class to race. It's a lot of fun, a lot of competitors. I finished third in the championship. It was a great racing, but I really wish I'd just get higher on that podium. But for this year, it's just going to be round one on the 400, and then I'm planning on selling both of my 400s and move up to a Aprilia RS660. And I'm looking forward to racing the ultra lightweight class because it's newer competitors. I know everyone, but I've never been up to pace with them with a bigger bike. It's going to be nice actually having power as well. And overall, I'm just looking really forward to it.
500 Supersport is actually a very difficult class. Last year my biggest competition was Eli, but he's not on 400 this year. And it's the second race of Saturday, and I won the 500 Superbike Championship, so I believe that I can win the 500 Supersport Championship too.
For 500 Supersport, my goal is about the same as 500 Superbike 2, is to win the championship. I want to stay consistent throughout each round and try to stay off the ground and get some consistent podiums and try to get an expert win. I feel like I put a lot of effort into this year to try to achieve that by getting myself set up with some better machines. So hopefully I can achieve some of my goals that I wasn't able to last year.
Last season was pretty well. Did pretty good here, set 2 track records on Motard and on the 400. Came out with 3 championships. Gonna hopefully push it a little bit farther this year. Last year we definitely, tough year. We lost Scott Mullen, which is a huge loss to our community. He helped me a lot between all the parts and support, sponsorship from SVM, and just mentally and just giving me tips every weekend and helping me. Last year was definitely had its ups and downs, but I'm looking forward to see what I can do this year.
I want to thank Penguin Road Racing School for another year on their team, all my teammates for their help this year, and Central West Power Sports for getting my bike together such short amount of time. Eric and John for all they do. Woodcraft, Innovative Motorsports, Dunlop Tires coming on board this year, Spears Racing, and everyone else, thank you so much.
So this year I chose a few different classes to race. Now that I don't have a 400, I just have the Motard, so I'm going to be racing the GTL and the Motard. I don't really see many Motards doing the GTL, and Motards aren't really built for it, but I'm hoping to get out there and do as well as I can do. And plan for is kind of, I can't follow. I have to set my own pace. I know Ricky and Brett will be right with me the whole entire race. I think I'll just start out pretty strong, hopefully set out a good pace, just run consistent 14s, low 15s. I mean, with the new track changes, hopefully break into those 13s. Set the pace for the race, see what they do, play around, use lappers to my advantage, and hopefully come out on top by the end of the year.
Alright, so my plan for the lightweight season, the first 2 rounds I'm going to be on Aprilia, so by round 3 I want to be set in stone, and then I want to be gaining pace and getting faster. I definitely want to get top 5 in races to start out, because I think think I can definitely do that. It's going to be great to ride new competitors and learn a new class to race. There's going to be quite the crowd, I hear. So like 4 or 5 bikes. I'm looking forward to that. And riding and making new friends, stuff like that. But I definitely want to be placing top 5, maybe get 3rd in a championship, something like that. But I don't want to do anything too heavy for the start of the season or start of a new bike. Basically a new air for me. I'm planning on being on the lightweight bike for a little while. Maybe next season in Moto America I'll try something. But for this season I'm just going to focus on myself and gaining on the lightweight class.
So Super Singles is designed for single-cylinder, I believe, unlimited displacement motorcycles. Typically, a lot of motards are in that class, but we will get the Kramers in there. And they're extremely fast, but it pushes us, so it is kind of nice to have them in there. But yeah, Super Singles is a great class for motards, and it's really enjoyable.
Yeah, middleweight GP went well. Got a good start off the line there, and was able to get the whole shot. So was able to run clean laps and not have to maneuver through traffic. So it was good. You know, was able to ride pretty well for the first weekend, coming off knocked some rust off from sitting around all winter, and was pretty happy with the result. Obviously, had a pretty good lead and ran consistent lap times, which was my goal for the race.
GTL is the first big boy race of the weekend. We were gridded on the front row based on how we finished last year, so that was great to get a clean view of the start. Took the whole shot, which I was very excited about, and led for about a third of the race. So much better even start than I was anticipating for the year. That was really cool. Fought a little bit with Eli Block and his motard, who's a newcomer to the class this year. He eventually got by me, and then Ricky Doucette did as well, entering 6th a little bit later in the race. So trying to chase Ricky and Eli down for the remainder. We got into a bunch of traffic. A lot of amateurs out there yesterday in the GTL as well. So ultimately finished in 3rd behind those two guys, but kept them in sight for most of the race. So I was really excited about the 3rd place finish, and that I didn't let those guys get too far away.
My start was pretty good. I got in 3rd place off the line through 1. It didn't take long for Eli on his motard to get by me going into 3. Wasn't able to get him back. He pulled away right away. I was doing a decent pace, but I was having some suspension issues and didn't really have any stability under braking. I managed to hold Brett off for about half the race, and once he got by, he was on fire yesterday, so he was just gone. And the rest of the race, I held 5th place. I'm happy with that. Would have been happier with a podium, but it is what it is.
So GTL is a 25-minute race, more like an endurance race than the sprints, which are pretty much the rest of all of our races. Works out to be around 15 to 20 laps, so effectively double. A lot of bikes that are twin cylinders or 3 cylinders. Yesterday, again, we had Eli Block on his motard, so you could always race up a class. I think the primary bikes in there are Yamahas, KTMs, and Suzukis now. We will have the Aprilia 660 in there this year. There's always some other oddballs that sneak in, the Kawasaki 650 and whatnot. But it's a really great way to get more track time for a low amount of dollars relative to the sprint races. So that's why I got into it, just to get a little bit more seat time and experience out there.
So Super Singles today was a great race. I went out pretty much cold. I haven't ridden since October round of last year. Did a few sessions with students in Penguin, but other than that, I haven't ridden. I was a little nervous because I watched a lot of my competitors get some seat time over the winter. That didn't happen for me. So going in, it was a little nerve-wracking, starting from pole. Ended up with a great hole shot, led into turn 1. I did notice Sergio Di Moffetta came right up alongside of me in turn 3, and I said, here we go, it's on. Just put my head down, clicked off some consistent laps, and just tried to remember, remember what I needed to do, and just let it flag to flag after that. I had my father-in-law giving me the gaps the whole way, so I kind of knew where I was, and just managed the race from there and brought it home in first.
Glad to be back in NEMRR and for round 1 for the new season of 22. And yesterday we had a super single race. We had a great start as far as my bike. I have a new bike this year, and I had an awesome start. Was able to stay behind Clarkey, which is he did an awesome riding. My focus was more with the new patches and everything was more get a little bit new reference points and try to pick up what I left from last year as far as times. But overall, I think it was a great place. Second place, I take it. It's absolutely so happy about it. Today, will be a new race, and the goal is, since the weather is going to be warmer, I'm planning to knock down some seconds out of my race. So we'll see how it goes.
So we're riding the 2019 KTM 790 Duke again. Going to be campaigning in 3 classes, so the GTL, Lightweight Super Sport, and Lightweight Super Bike. Try to do at least as well as last year. Podiumed in all the classes I ran in last year. Finished the championship with the championship in Lightweight Super Sport. So yeah, at least do that good, if not better. I think there's going to be a lot more competition this year with the Aprilias coming on board in the lightweight ranks. So hopefully we'll see what we can do.
So this season, I would love to get a #1 championship. That's what I have my sights set on. I had a couple of second places and a third place last year. Aside from that, I'd like to try some more tracks. I was planning on doing some rounds a little bit out west and going down south some more. I'm going to go out to Summit and down Daytona again probably. But I'll be here all season and fighting for that championship.
So the plan is to run Super Singles, obviously. That went pretty well today. And then on Sundays, do the Motard race, as well as Lightweight Sportsman. I haven't done Lightweight Sportsman in quite a few years. With Moto3 not allowing Motards in it anymore, I chose to go back to that class. It's a little late in the day on Sunday, but there's a lot of good competitors in it, a lot of good racing to be had. So I'm looking forward to a fun time in that class as well.
I am planning of doing the full season here in NEMRR with my motards. I'm focusing only on motards this year here, so I'll be doing like races like Super Single, Motard, Ultralight Superbike, and Lightweight Sportsman, which I like very much. Other things that I've been doing this season is Supermoto. I'm focusing also on Supermoto. I own a series called New England Mini Moto, NEM, and I am planning to host the series and race in the series, and also looking forward to develop kids into racing from 3 years old to perhaps Motor America. We'll see how it goes.